time on
Danganronpa.
You'd already looked through the Genocide Jack file before this all happened, hadn't you?
Then your conclusion is something like this? I killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, then hung her up and wrote that bloody message.
Well, I think it's entirely possible that she was killed somewhere else, then carried there later, along with the rest of the murder scene.
If the murder did take place in the boys' locker room, then how did Chihiro get in the boys' locker room in the first place?
There's still one other way she could have gained access. Why don't we take a little break from the trial? I'd like you all to come see something. Be sure to check her entire body, and I believe we will solve this particular mystery.
This girl is a boy.
Heck, I knew that right off the bat. Now let's ride this wave of excitement back to the courtroom and get back to the trial. I do apologize for keeping you waiting. Now then, let's resume the class trial. We've all just learned of the shocking revelation that Chihiro was actually a boy. Let's pick up from there.
Yes, well, I don't know his reason for hiding it, but the fact is, Chihiro was not a girl, but a boy.
I think that Chihiro was actually a guy. Thought it never even crossed my mind.
Because the victim was male, he would have had no problem gaining access to the boys' locker room.
Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list his gender as male, then yes, that would be true.
Of course his handbook said he was a boy. He dressed like a girl, but he was a boy through and through.
So then, there should be no issue with Makoto's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and was then later moved to the girls' locker room. And the killer
Right,
could
the
have
curveball.
easily used Sayaka or Junko's handbook to get into the girls' locker room.
So Chihiro really was killed in the boys' locker room?
I still don't understand the motive for moving the body, but yes, that does seem plausible.
Well, I must admit, I did find it rather odd. I knew he felt a little off. There was a certain incongruity to his female body.
I mean, when you were carrying them, you felt like a bulge.
This is the most titillating situation!
So now everything has been connected. All the
Well, it's actually not
mysteries
titillating, he was a guy.
become-
Okay, well, connected or clear or whatever, we still think you're the killer, remember?
Very interesting. This has become very interesting indeed.
He's off in his own little world.
What about you, Makoto? After everything we've learned, do you still think Byakuya's the killer?
Well, without a doubt, Byakuya is the one that made Chihiro's death look like Genocide Jack did it. But I think he might not actually be the killer after all.
What? But aren't you the one who accused him in the first place?
He just seems to be too easygoing about all this. Like he's enjoying us solving the mystery. The way he's acting, it makes it seem like it doesn't have anything to do with him.
And you think that might be because
You could still be nervous that people would vote for you anyway.
Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little
But he is very
too-
cocky.
How can I put it? He consciously chose to use the extension cord, knowing it could connect him to the murder. At least, that's how I see it. And Byakuya, when you found out the murder took place in the boys' locker room, it seemed to rattle you. And then again when you found out Chihiro was actually a guy. If you really were the killer, that stuff wouldn't have had any effect on you.
So that's your thinking, huh? Well, it bothers me that you don't have more concrete reasons, but it's fine. I guess I'll mark it as correct for the time being.
mark it as correct?
He's right. I am not the culprit. I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room and decided to alter it.
Are you fucking with us right now?
No, I am not
Alter it.
effing with you right now. I'm telling you the truth.
Byakuya does not swear.
Well, I find it very hard to believe.
Go ahead. Find it very hard to believe. You're free to be executed along with the rest of us.
If you're really telling the truth, then Why? Why do you do that to his body?
It's boring here.
My reasons hardly matter right now. Uncovering the culprit is much more important, wouldn't you say? Now then, if it wasn't me, who was it?
Well, I don't think I can say for sure without talking about it a little more.
We're seriously gonna keep going? We're all good, aren't we? I thought it was clear Byakuya did it.
No, I'm with Makoto. If there's any doubt whatsoever, we need to explore every possibility. Because
Hero
if
just
we're
wants
wrong,
class to be
we
dismissed.
all die here.
That's true. Very well then. I'm with you too.
Damn straight. Count me in.
Do you not have a mind of your own?
Hey, leave Hero alone.
Of course I do. What am I, an ant or something?
Anyway, let's discuss this all as a group one more time. We still have time to make our decision.
That's very true.
Our lives are all on the line.
Excellent. Then shall we resume our game of hide and seek?
If Byakuya didn't do it, then who's the real killer? Who murdered Chihiro? There's one thing we could be sure that we know about the killer. The killer was able to gain access to the real murder scene, which means
I got it!
if Gramps found the boys' locker room, you would need a boys' handbook to get in. Since Leon's handbook is apparently broken, the killer would have had to use their own. In other words, it had to have been a guy. That's still not enough. I need to find some more clues.
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us to who did it?
Yes?
Clues are one thing. Did nobody get a look at the killer?
I'm sure if someone saw the killer, they would have said something by now.
Perhaps someone saw the victim at some point. Even that might be enough
Yes.
for now.
Yeah. All we need right now is any kind of new info.
It's over. It's all over. You want to know who saw the victim? The killer. And only the killer.
That was it. I just wanted to get that white noise out of the way.
Themselves in. Game over, man. Game over.
Not game over.
No, not game over.
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us to... Did nobody get... I'm sure if someone saw the...
Perhaps someone saw the victim.
Yeah. All we need right now is any
Oh wait, this is the wrong one.
You want to know who saw the victim? The killer. And only...
There we go.
I believe someone else did see the victim before he was murdered. What do you think, Celeste?
Now that you mention it, yes.
You can't just say you saw her, right?
Really?
Oh, but I suppose only Makoto knows about this. The rest of you had no idea, did you? That is why you're all making such ugly noises.
Alright.
Whatever. Just hurry up and tell us.
It was last night, right before nighttime. I saw Chihiro in the dormitory warehouse. I saw him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag, and then, I assume, he headed off to exercise.
A track jacket and a duffel bag. But we didn't find anything like that at the murder scene.
It seems likely that the culprit destroyed them to get rid of any evidence.
Are they on cleaning duty?
That is when he said something that struck me as rather odd.
Oh, I guess. Well, you better get going. I'm kind of in a hurry.
Chihiro told me he was in a hurry. But why would he be in a hurry? Only if someone were waiting for him, I should think.
So, Mr. Fujisaki was on his way...
We don't know if that's their real name. Fujisaki.
And they were going to work out together?
But Hina and I had invited him to exercise with us plenty of times, and he always declined.
Probably because he was afraid you'd find out the secret he was hiding, right?
Which means that conversely, he must have trusted whoever he was meeting with very much. Enough so that he was willing to risk his secret being revealed.
What a marvelous friendship!
The point is, whoever he met up with...
Yeah, so it's not a great friendship.
So we just gotta figure out who it was.
But knowing what we know, I can't even guess.
No, you already have what you need to make the connection. You know who the killer is.
Seriously? Who is it?
She's still like, why does she want Makoto to piece it together? And she already knows.
To the track jacket and duffel bag the killer disposed of. Focus on the details of these items, and it should become obvious who was waiting for him.
From those items?
Are you sure about that? You really think we can figure out who did it based on 2 pieces of evidence that we don't have?
What? You want to track down some fingerprints or something?
Even if we had the equipment for that, we wouldn't know how to use it.
As was noted, the evidence is already gone. There's nothing to get fingerprints from.
Maybe, but we can make certain inferences if we just take the time to talk it out.
Not the murder weapon. That probably has fingerprints on it.
For you to say. But fine. Celeste, did you notice anything special about the bag or jacket? The bag was just a normal duffel bag from the warehouse. All the bags in there are the same, so I can't imagine what would make that one special.
Well, if I remember right, there was a decent variety of tracksuits to choose from. Do you think there might be some connection between the culprit and Chihiro's jacket?
Perhaps. Let's explore that and talk a bit more about the jacket he took.
Alright, so we're not selecting a killer anytime soon. Chihiro's track jacket really holds some clue about the killer. Somehow it's really hard to believe. Using her account again.
First of all, we know where Chihiro was headed. He was on his way to go exercise. So next we have to
Still
ask,
highly doubt we'll ever argue with her.
why did he choose the specific tracksuit that he did?
What do you mean, the specific tracksuit?
I got it! He picked that tracksuit because it matched the one the culprit was wearing.
So, what you're saying is, the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him? My tracksuit is black.
I don't even
I'm wondering
have
if-
a tracksuit. 'Cause exercising sucks.
Okay.
I have a white tracksuit personally.
We're just talking about our tracksuits now.
If you must know.
Did any of that really help us get any closer to figuring out who the culprit is?
No way.
I don't mind hearing a little more about Hiro's life.
You heard him, right? What he just said without even realizing it?
So it was really, how do you know something like that? Kind of missed what it was, but I think I knew the one I wanted to hit.
Wait, so next thing, why did he choose?
What do you mean? I got it! It matched the one.
So, the killer was wearing this. My tracksuit is black.
Oh. Shut up, you little bitch. Hey! Well, that was worth it just for that. Well, I guess it must be the thing he says at the very end, because they said it was odd.
What do you mean?
That seems obvious now, in hindsight.
So, the killer was wearing the same blue. My tracksuit.
I don't even. Cause exercising.
I have a white tracksuit.
I got it from the
Did any of that really help us get?
No way. Not a chance.
Oh, just that?
You heard him, right? What he just said.
First of all, we know that he was on his way to go. So next thing, why did he choose?
What do you mean?
I got it! It matched the one that...
So, the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him.
Oh.
No, it's wrong.
I guess they wasn't wearing the same tracksuit.
Hold on a second, Mondo. What did you just say?
Huh? What'd I say?
When Celeste testified a few minutes ago, she said,
Oh, did she not say what color it was?
she never said anything about the jacket's color. So why did you say Chihiro's blue tracksuit?
Why did you say that, sir?
Hey, Celeste, what color was Chihiro's tracksuit?
As a matter of fact, it was blue.
And before we began the trial, did you tell anyone that?
The only one I told about any of this was you.
Then, Mondo, how did you know what color Chihiro's tracksuit was?
Everyone's psychic here.
I'm sure he saw the clothes at some point in the investigation.
No.
Oh yeah, they're best friends now.
The bag and clothes were surely disposed of by the time we began our investigation.
Then the only reason he could have known what color the tracksuit was is if he saw Cherry with it before he died.
Sure, her nicknames are a little bit lazy. I don't know.
Are you talking about your hero? So, how about it? Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you?
Just by chance. I just happened to see it last night. He walked past me, and he was carrying the tracksuit in his hands.
No, that can't be it either. According to Celeste's testimony,
He stuffed the jacket into her bag in a hurry. It was almost like he was trying to hide it. And just like that, it was gone.
when Celeste noticed it,
That's technically we could skip flashbacks because we already read them.
the jacket was completely in the bag. If you just ran into him briefly, you couldn't possibly have seen what color the tracksuit was.
It would appear you dug your own grave.
Perhaps. But you handed him the shovel, didn't you? That's why you said what you did. Focus on the tracksuit and it'll be obvious who he met with? What a bunch of nonsense.
Ah, now I understand. It was all one big bluff, wasn't it?
It worked.
Your true intention was to draw a slip of the tongue from the culprit. That's why you said you knew who did it, to put them on edge.
That's right. However, Mondo was my target all along. I had my suspicions about him from the very beginning.
He just knows everything.
But why? What made you so suspicious?
That's a good question.
Because I hate him.
There was a certain turning point that tipped me off. Maybe you didn't notice it, Mondo, but you tend to refer to men and women differently. You only call guys dude. For girls, it's chick. And after he was killed, you happened to refer to him as dude. Once I picked up on that, it occurred to me that Mondo knew something we didn't.
I mean, I could pretty much call anything dude. It doesn't really matter.
I need detail? Are you a witch? She's a witch! You're positively frightful!
No, I'm not the frightful one. Not nearly as frightful as someone capable of murdering a friend.
I mean, I'll even call my computer dude if it's not working. Like, dude, stop.
Mondo, was it really you? Did you really kill Chihiro?
I didn't kill anyone! You've been all over me, judging everything I say, putting words in my mouth. What gives you the right to treat me like a goddamn criminal?
Yeah, he would never do something like that. This is a false accusation.
Ah, poor Taka.
My reasoning on that is pretty shaky.
He finally makes a friend.
That was fast.
Well, this does present us with a problem. It's
My time has nearly come.
Your time.
That's what my little ghost friend is telling me.
Oh, you did mention a ghost friend.
That reminds me. Hifumi, weren't you telling me you found some evidence?
really?
I thought you said Celeste did.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it here calmly, it might not be all that relevant.
Seems like anything can be relevant.
Jeez, does your confidence just get up and walk away? It's fine, man. Just tell us.
If you really insist, then, here it is.
Her handbook? His handbook?
It happens to be an e-handbook. I found it laying on the ground, so I scooped it up.
Not on the ground, right? Then it must belong to...
I got it! We know Chihiro's handbook was missing from the scene of the crime, right?
For a fact.
For a fact indeed. I was totally sure I'd found it.
Then it must hold some clue about the culprit, right?
Well, that's what I was hoping. But it's busted. It won't even turn on.
I imagine the culprit broke it to get rid of any evidence after the murder.
That's odd. I didn't think the handbooks were quite so fragile.
You're right. They're not. They're totally waterproof and shock resistant. It would take an awful lot to break one.
And yet, this one does appear to be broken, as is Leon's, sitting useless in the main hall. For all your confidence, that is a remarkably high failure rate.
Do you think there might be some kind of mystery in there somewhere? How precisely did the handbooks get broken?
I got it! You already told us before that the handbook has one weak point, didn't you?
Oh yeah, did he?
You remember that? Sure, maybe I let that slip, but I never told anyone what the weak point actually was.
But if the handbook is supposed to never break, and two of them broke in quick succession,
Then we can only assume that someone's figured out its weakness. You know what the weakness is, right, Monokuma? So, what is it?
You're asking
He's just gonna tell us? Like, no way.
I think it's a necessary piece of information if you want this to be a fair trial.
But if I tell you, and someone else decides to copy it, that would be
Just make a new roll. You can do that.
Tell us already! Why would we want to break our own handbooks?
Oh well, I have a weakness for pushy demands. But you're sure you won't follow their example? Then allow me to make a special announcement. The weak point of my cutting-edge e-handbook is... when it's exposed to high temperatures for too long, it will suffer a meltdown and totally break!
Tony the Tiger there.
You knew it? Yeah, because I found the handbook laying on the floor of the sauna.
The temperature in the sauna can reach over 200 degrees. Strange how you don't get burnt, huh? It's because as your
200.
sweat evaporates, it creates a cooling layer of air around your skin. If the hot air of the sauna were somehow pushed directly onto your skin, you'd definitely get fried. That layer of air would get blown away. That's why you may feel a burning when you move around. So when you're in a sauna, make sure to keep nice and still.
Interesting. I learned one new fact.
I mean, he was in there for a long time. Did he not stay still?
It's a mere trifling speck of knowledge.
Anyway, if you found the victim's handbook in the sauna, then the killer must have been purposely trying to raise its temperature in order to break it.
meaning the culprit somehow knew its weakness.
But how'd they find out? Monokuma said he didn't tell anyone, right?
Indeed. Quite the mystery.
What if they found out by accident?
What do you mean by accident?
What if the killer took their own handbook into the sauna, not knowing its weakness?
Why would you not leave it outside the sauna?
They'd realize it was broken, of course, and it wouldn't be hard to figure out why. And once they had Chihiro's handbook, they knew they had an easy way to dispose of it.
I won't say it's not possible, but who would have done something like that? I don't know of anyone who took their handbook into the sauna.
Oh, he left his clothes on.
I might know someone who did.
So that's probably he just forgot to take it out.
Seriously? I think the one who may have taken their handbook into the sauna was...
You don't know where all the clothes in the sauna. We were already headed there.